Help us hit our first 1,000 subscribers. Your support drives us to create even more wonderful stories. Thanks for being part of our journey. In this video, I thought the security cameras in my wife's office protected her. Until one night they showed me something that shattered everything I believed about love, loyalty, and who the real villain was. The lunchtime sun slices through the high-rise windows of Harris and Kodash, sparkling on chrome desks and half-finished lattes. Mark Harris leans over a cafeteria salad bowl, video chatting Emily on his phone because her team is sprinting toward a product launch. Mid-sentence, the security cam widget pinned to her desktop feed erupts in snow. 2 seconds of jarring, analog static none of the other live cameras show. When the picture snaps back, Emily's ergonomic chair is wheeling in slow motion as if someone shoved it, but she's nowhere in frame. Mark's fork stops in midair, lettuce dripping vinaigrette onto his tie. His pulse bumps hard against his collar. He taps rewind. Again the precise 2-second blackout. Again the empty office. Again that chilling chair spin. Mark writes it off as a network hiccup, yet all afternoon a single thought hammers. Security systems never flicker on just one channel. He calls Emily to joke about a lunchtime magic trick, hoping she'll laugh it off. Instead, her voice tenses and she ends the call after 5 clipped words. Can't talk. Massive deadline. By 3 p.m. Mark is running code on the camera logs between meetings, discovering the glitch happened at exactly 12:14:32 p.m. A timestamp he can't shake. At 4 p.m. He passes the facilities office and casually asks if any cameras in Suite 2004 were serviced. Those cams? Solid as granite. The building engineer replies without looking up from his clipboard. The unshakable certainty that something is being hidden digs beneath Mark's skin like a splinter he can't reach. On the subway home, he scrubs through archived footage on his tablet, frame by anxious frame, until a conductor's announcement tears him from the screen. Next stop, Division Street. Emily's stop on Thursdays when she claims to teach hot yoga across town. Why does that coincidence make his stomach twist? Stepping off the train, Mark vows to trace every second of Emily's schedule until the static makes sense. Because if the camera lied, either the building is haunted or his marriage is. In the following chapter, Mark's first late-night stakeout peels back a Thursday secret that was never meant to leave the office. Thursday night spills a neon glow across Lake Street, while Mark's dashboard clock blinks 9:07 p.m. Emily should be deep in vinyas at Lakeshore Hot Yoga, her mat parked in the steamy front row. Instead, Mark slows outside Sterling Tower and spots her Audi tucked beneath the security lights, ticket stubs still warm behind the windshield. He kills the engine, heart drumming louder than the idling buses, and watches Suite 2004's windows 30 stories up. A single office strip still burns, slicing the dark like a fluorescent scalpel. Through half-closed blinds, Emily's silhouette paces, phone clamped to her ear, gestures sharp enough to draw blood. Then a second figure glides into view, taller, broader shoulders, a sleek suit that suggests authority rather than janitorial rounds. Mark's breath fogs the glass as the stranger leans in, whispering something that freezes Emily mid-stride. She laughs, soft at first, then full-bodied, the kind of laugh she once saved for Mark's worst dad jokes. At 9:13 p.m. The blinds snap shut, severing the tableau and leaving Mark staring at his own reflection in the windshield like an intruder in his own life. He fumbles for his phone, scrolling to their shared calendar, and finds a recurring Thursday entry labeled simply, OT, Do Not Disturb. How had he never noticed it? Guilt prickles. Has his relentless workload blinded him to Emily's schedule? Or did she count on that blindness? Mark screenshots the calendar. Then the glowing window, documenting evidence he can't yet name. A tap on the driver's side glass jolts him. A parking attendant shines a flashlight and motions to move along. Mark drives a slow loop around the block, mind racing with impossible equations. Yoga class equals lie, mystery man equals unknown variable, marriage equals unstable formula. When he circles back, the office light is off and the Audi is gone. Vanished in the span of 3 red lights. Mark presses the accelerator homeward, but his thoughts reverse engineer every Thursday of the past 3 months. Same late returns, same lavender and peppermint scent masking sweat that wasn't from a studio. He arrives to an empty apartment, the master bedroom pristine. Bedspread smoothed as if no one dares wrinkle the truth. At 11:58 p.m. Emily texts, Sorry, class ran over. Early meeting tomorrow. Love you. Good night. Mark stares at the blue bubble, fingers trembling above the keyboard. Then types only 2 words before deleting them unseen. He clicks off the bedside lamp, eyes wide in the dark, and vows that next Thursday he won't just watch, he'll follow. Coming up, Mark's midnight elevator hack turns a routine stakeout into a discovery that changes every Thursday forever. Thursday unfolds like a slow fuse until the city slips into midnight hush. Mark hustles through Sterling Tower's rear loading dock, pocket stuffed with a $40 Starbucks gift card and 2 tickets to Friday's Cubs opener. Currency that buys silence. Luis, the night janitor, accepts the tip, swipes his master key, and disappears, leaving Mark alone with the bank of security terminals that record every elevator ride. The screens glow a cold blue, stacked with date-stamped thumbnails that scroll backward in time. Mark queues up last Thursday, 11:00 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Heart pounding hard enough to rattle the metal swivel chair. At 11:14:07 p.m. Camera E3 activates. Interior cab, mirrored walls, fluorescent strip dimmed to half. Emily steps in first, charcoal suit jacket draped over one arm, hair loose from its daytime bun. She glances toward the corridor, bites her lower lip, then stabs the door hold button. Eric slides inside seconds later, tan trench coat still damp from spring rain, briefcase tucked like contraband beneath his elbow. The doors whisper shut, isolating them inside a steel confession booth with no priest. There is no audio feed, yet Mark swears he can hear Emily's laugh, light but reckless. As she tilts her head back, Eric leans closer, mouth near her ear, and she fists the lapels of his coat. Not in romance, but as if stressing a point only he can hear. At 11:14:27 p.m. Emily's left hand drifts to her ring finger. In one practiced motion, she slides off the platinum band, drops it into her blazer pocket, and exhales like a diver shedding weight. Mark's breath snags. A pulse of static jitters across the feed. Mirroring the first glitch, the elevator panel flickers, floor numbers strobing 2014-12, then pausing on the enigmatic R. A restricted level Mark didn't know existed. At 11:14:38 p.m. The recording freezes, pixelating into gray snow before cutting to black. When it resumes 3 seconds later, the cab is empty and the clock reads 11:16:01 p.m. No entry, no exit, no floor change recorded. Just an unexplained blackout stitched into the data. Mark scrolls ahead, but every camera after 11 hours 14 minutes and 38 seconds shows normal activity, as if the building itself edited the memory. He copies the clip onto his thumb drive, palms sweating, and wipes his prints from the keyboard. Behind him, a fluorescent bulb buzzes to life. Luis should still be mopping the lobby. Mark spins, but the hallway is vacant, security door swinging as though someone slipped through seconds before. He pockets the drive, kills the monitor, and bolts for the stairwell, certain he's no longer the only one hunting evidence tonight. Next up, Mark's shaky attempt to decode the blackout plunges him into a corporate secret even Emily may not control. Friday dawns with a steel gray sky that matches Mark's mood as he rides the elevator to his own 21st floor office. Instead of the usual hum of keyboards, he steps into a hallway vibrating with low whispers and buzzing phones. A red banner flashes across every corporate monitor. Confidential asset alert. R&D lockdown in effect. Mark's teammate Jenna corners him by the coffee machine, eyes wide behind smudged lenses. Someone boosted the Gemini lens prototype right out of the vault last night. She hisses, pouring 3 sugars into black coffee she never sweetens. The Gemini lens, cutting-edge augmented reality optics rumored to be worth 8 figures once patented. Mark's first impossible thought is of Emily's ringless hand and Eric's rain-soaked briefcase. HR summons every employee who badge scanned past 10 p.m. Mark is waved through but clocks Eric pacing the lobby, jaw tight, smartphone glued to his ear. Emily is nowhere in sight, and that absence stings sharper than accusation. In the glass-walled conference room, a security officer projects keycard logs while the HR director explains the disaster in clipped syllables. A silent slide lists 5 badge IDs that access the research wing between 11 p.m. and midnight, including one assigned to E. Harris, Strategic Partnerships. Mark nearly drops his notepad. Emily never mentioned having clearance for R&D. He blurts a question about log errors and earns a warning glance that silences him faster than a gavel. Back at his desk, Mark plugs in the thumb drive with the corrupted elevator footage, dragging it into video forensic software meant for ad mockups. Frame by frame, he stabilizes the pixel snow until a single still emerges at 11:14:31 p.m. Emily passing a slim silver key card to Eric, who tucks it into his trench coat. Mark's chest tightens as if someone cinched a belt around his ribs. Outside his office door, coworkers speculate about foreign competitors, insider payoffs, even espionage. Theories multiply like bacteria in panic. But Mark hears only the blood rush in his ears. His phone vibrates with a text from an unknown number. "Stop digging before you bury yourself. R." Mark checks caller ID history. Nothing. He shoves his chair back, determined to confront Emily. But a system-wide email freezes him mid-stride. All personnel remain on site, Chicago PD en route for individual statements. Mark is effectively trapped in the same building where his wife may have just detonated her career, and possibly his. He ducks into an empty huddle room, pulls out his tablet, and hacks into the visitor management portal using a forgotten marketing password. A single after-hours badge was printed last night under the alias Robert Lowe, and the headshot is a grainy, side-profile match for Eric. Mark screen shares the badge record to his phone, simultaneously emailing it to himself under the subject line "leverage." Just as he hits send, the huddle room door handle rattles. A uniformed security guard peers in. "Mr. Harris, detectives would like a word." Mark pockets his phone, steals his voice, and follows the guard, mind racing through algebra where every variable equals Emily. Up next, a police interrogation and an impossible alibi push Mark to choose between protecting his wife and exposing a theft that could ruin them both. Saturday evening drapes their condo in golden light as Emily strides through the door carrying peonies the color of bruised sunset. She plants a kiss on Mark's cheek that tastes of mint gum and nerves, then waves 2 glossy concert tickets like an olive branch in cardboard stock. Mark's pulse quickens. Distant Echoes is her favorite indie band, but the show is tonight. Tickets bought hours ago, not weeks like she once planned everything. Emily breezes into the kitchen, phone buzzing non-stop, and hums while arranging the flowers as though the world isn't collapsing outside their 9th floor window. She slides her laptop onto the island and calls. "I owe you a date night, but first, proof I wasn't out stealing space-age goggles." With a few keystrokes, she projects a timeline of emails to the condo's smart wall. Subject lines, timestamps, attachments, each marking her overtime. From 8:00 p.m. to midnight, Mark notes the surgical precision of the chain. Every 10 minutes a reply, every sentence peppered with jargon he recognizes from her pitch decks. "See," she says, tapping the screen. "Logged, audited, unromantic." Mark nods, but something about the attachments nags. File names end with --draft4. Yet Emily never labels anything past --v2. While she fetches wine glasses, he airdrops one PDF to his phone, opens the info pane, and swallows hard. Created on device. Eric MBP01. He tucks the phone away before she returns, heartbeat drumming Morse code against his ribs. Emily pours Pinot Noir, toasts to surviving the corporate witch hunt, and proposes leaving their phones on silent for the night. Mark clinks her glass, schooling his face into a husbandly grin, even as a new text slides across his locked screen. Metadata doesn't lie. R. The initials match the alias Robert Lowe. The fake badge. He pockets the phone and says he needs a quick bathroom break, but detours to his office nook. There he loads the PDF into HexView, confirming a final tweak at 11:59 p.m. Exactly when Emily texted yoga class excuses. Lightning flashes outside, thunder growls, and for a beat he imagines the night before looping on a cruel reel. Back in the living room, Emily cues a playlist and sways to atmospheric synth, her wedding ring glinting under Edison bulbs as though it never left her finger. Mark studies the circle of metal. No scratches, no new polish. Yet he can't unsee her pocketing it in the elevator. When she catches his stare, she tucks hair behind her ear and asks, "You okay?" He forces a smile that feels stapled to his skin and replies, "Just tired, long week." She dims the lights, presses closer, and whispers, "Then let tonight be simple." Mark exhales, decides the charade buys him time. and lets her lace fingers through his. But as the vinyl crackles between tracks, he knows the Gemini lens isn't the only thing gone missing. So is the woman he married, and until he learns whether she's thief, victim, or something far stranger, playing along might be the only way to keep them both alive. Next, Mark's covert dive into Emily's digital footprints lures him to a rooftop meeting where one wrong step could send every secret plunging into the Chicago night. Monday night pours rain in thin, needling sheets as Mark slips into Sterling Tower through a service entrance he unlocked with a borrowed maintenance badge. He has traced Emily's location by triangulating pings from the company Wi-Fi, every coordinate arrowing toward the roof just after 10 p.m. Thunder cracks while he climbs 20 flights of echoing concrete stairs, pausing only when motion sensor lights flicker awake like startled eyes. Halfway up, a notification pops on his phone. System alert. Gemini lens folder accessed remotely. User, Hugh Harris. Mark's breath stutters. Whatever happens on that roof, it is unfolding right now in the company servers. He reaches the final landing, pushes the crash bar, and wind slaps him cold with the scent of hot tar and ozone. Across the puddled rooftop, Emily and Eric huddle beneath a humming HVAC unit, its vents exhaling steam like a dragon guarding treasure. Emily clutches a slim aluminum case. Eric's trench coat billows, revealing a holstered drive dock blinking red. Mark edges behind a telecom antenna, phone camera rolling, heart banging against metal ribs of the structure. Deliverables or I walk. Emily shouts over the wind, voice sharp enough to slice the night. Eric answers too low to catch, gesturing toward the case, palm up like a street magician revealing the final card. Before Mark can zoom, a motion to his right freezes him. A third figure crouches behind the ventilation pipes, DSLR lens trained on the arguing pair. Light from a distant lightning flash silhouettes the interloper. Black tactical jacket, hood, and a shoulder patch Mark can't make out. The unknown cameraman raises a hand signal, and suddenly every rooftop security light cuts to darkness, plunging the scene into electric blue shadow. Emily gasps, Eric curses, and Mark's screen goes grainy as the phone struggles to adjust. In that flash of blackout, Emily darts sideways, sliding the aluminum case beneath the HVAC housing, then spins to face Eric empty-handed. Eric grabs her wrist, demanding the case, but a pipe bursts steam between them, forcing him back and cloaking Emily in white vapor. Mark steps forward instinctively, metal grate clanging underfoot, and the mystery photographer wheels toward the sound. Through the rising steam, Mark finally sees the shoulder patch. A stitched capital are over crossed keys. Before he can react, a laser pointer dot lands on Mark's chest. Steady and accusing, the photographer's free hand lifts a small device and presses a button. Every rooftop camera, including Mark's phone, erupts in static, echoing the original glitch. A single floodlight snaps on, spotlighting Mark like a lead actor without lines. While Emily and Eric vanish into the dark edges of the roof, a distant siren climbs the night air, growing louder, and Mark realizes someone has triggered a silent alarm, one that pins him to the crime scene. He backs toward the stairwell but hears the door lock clunk from the inside, sealing him out under the open sky. The photographer vanishes into the hatch of a maintenance shaft, leaving Mark alone, floodlit, and framed for a scheme he barely understands. Rain intensifies, wiping footprints but not guilt, and Mark pockets his useless phone just as police sirens converge on the tower below. He has 60 seconds to find a way off the roof or explain why he's the only one left standing when authorities burst through that door. Coming soon, Mark's desperate rooftop escape collides with a digital ultimatum that could save Emily, or expose her once and for all. A thunderous Tuesday dawn finds Mark hunched over his home workstation, soldering a thumbnail-sized keylogger onto a spare USB hub. The plan is reckless but simple. Pose as IT support, plug the device into Eric's MacBook, and siphon every keystroke straight to a hidden cloud folder. At 2 p.m. during a staged phishing audit, Mark strides into Eric's glass office wearing a borrowed lanyard and the tired confidence of tech staff everywhere. Eric barely glances up, barking into a headset while Mark swaps the USB hub with practiced grace, the tiny logger now pulsing a faint green heartbeat. Within an hour, raw text scrolls onto Mark's phone like a confession. Encrypted chats between Raven and Broker, arranging a drop, 4:11:30 p.m. in copy room B17. The payload is labeled Glensbin, Gemini lens firmware stripped of its hardware leash. A payment confirmation flashes next. $2 million in Monero released upon transfer. Mark screen shares the thread to his laptop, fingers trembling as he drafts an anonymous tip to building security. He hesitates, imagining Emily caught between corporate SWAT and black market sharks. Then hits send. At 10:55 p.m., the tower shutters into night mode. Most floors dark except a skeletal crew of cleaners whose carts squeak like uneasy consciences. Mark, dressed in navy coveralls, ducks into an alcove outside copy room B17. Earbuds feeding him the logger's live stream. Eric's keystrokes pop up. On site, door code 9753. Mark enters the sequence first, crouching behind stacked reams of paper that smell of fresh pulp and toner. Fluorescents hum overhead, and the copier's internal heater ticks like a bomb warming. 11:30 sharp. Eric slips in, trench coat slick with rain, briefcase rattling with more than paper. Mark's heart sprints, but before he can film, the hallway lights die. Someone overrides the breaker. Emergency LEDs bathe the room in blood-red glow as the door seals with a magnetic clunk. From the shadows, Emily emerges, face streaked with rain, clutching a USB drive instead of the aluminum case. Eric, the buyer, changed terms. She says, voice brittle, they want proof the firmware works before they pay. Eric steps closer, suspicion flaring. Where's Raven? Emily answers by tossing him the drive. Test it yourself. While Eric slots the USB into a laptop, Mark edges toward the door, phone camera raised. Suddenly, every copier in the room springs to life, spitting blank pages that whirl like snow in a red storm. On each sheet, a single phrase prints in bold. Trust in '01. Eric jolts upright, eyes wide, just as the magnetic lock releases with a hiss. Security klaxons erupt down the corridor. Yet the alarm Mark triggered was supposed to be silent. Emily mouths, run, to Mark, then swings a toner cartridge at Eric's head, knocking him into a tower of paper that collapses like dominoes. Mark bolts, copier snow clinging to his boots, but a side monitor flickers on. Live CCTV of them escaping, overlaid with the watermark, our network online. A final chat entry flashes on Mark's phone. Congratulations, Phase 2 begins now. Coming up, Mark tracks their network signal through a maze of server rooms, only to uncover a badge access list that places him, not Emily, at the heart of the conspiracy. By 1:47 a.m. Mark is ghosting through Level 3, the chilled sub-basement where Sterling Tower hides its blinking server spine. He tracks an encrypted Wi-Fi beacon tagged our network that hops floors like a fugitive signal, finally spiking outside Vault S12. A biometric lock greets him with scarlet text. Access denied, until a green override flashes and the door yawns inward by itself. Inside, rows of rack servers hum like hive insects, LEDs strobing a rhythm that feels almost intentional. On the tile floor, Eric sprawls face down, trench coat soaked in toner and blood from a shallow gash at his temple. Above him, Emily grips a steel flashlight, knuckles white, mascara streaked by sweat and copier dust. The USB drive dangles from her free hand like bait. Mark, I had to, she gasps, stepping over Eric's limp arm. Before he can answer, wall-mounted monitors spark to life, displaying a security dashboard already mid-breach. Every unauthorized login lists the same badge ID, M. Harris 021. Mark's stomach plummets. Someone is forging his digital shadow. Emily drags Eric toward a wiring closet, cuffs him with his own belt, and kicks the door shut. Listen, she says, voice trembling but fierce. Eric sold half the Gemini firmware weeks ago. Tonight he wanted the self-calibration module. Without it, the lenses are useless. She flashes the USB. I swapped in a corrupted build. Buyers will think they're getting gold. But the code fries the optics after 10 minutes. Mark's head spins between pride and panic. So you're sabotaging your own theft? He asks. I'm cleaning a mess I helped create. She whispers. I never meant to drag you in, but Raven, whoever's behind that has leverage on us both. Alarms shriek overhead and red strobes paint the server rose hellish. Intercom speakers crackle with a synthesized voice. Mark Harris, remain where you are, violation recorded. Metal shutters slam over the only exit. Emily toggles the server keyboard. A progress bar labeled, purge all logs, crawls at 3%. We have 5 minutes before this place seals like a coffin, she says. Mark yanks out his wallet badge, wedges it between the shutter gears, buys a sliver of daylight. Above the din, Eric groans in the closet, muttering, double-crossing witch. As consciousness returns, Emily meets Mark's eyes, tears sharpening her resolve. Trust me now or we both burn, she says, offering the USB. He hesitates, memories of ringless fingers and static cameras looping like curses, yet every screen around him still stamps his name in red. Proof he's already the fall guy. Mark pockets the drive and nods. Emily smashes a fire suppression valve. White gas floods the floor, shorting circuits, resetting the badge database to blank screens. Sparks spit from a fried router, and sprinkler mist turns the gas into a blinding fog. Hand in hand, they dive beneath the half-raised shutter just as the server room erupts in arcs of blue fire. Behind them, a final automated announcement echoes through the smoke. Phase 2 aborted, executing contingency. Target relocation. Mark and Emily stagger into a maintenance tunnel. Coughing, clothes singed, but alive. Somewhere above, police sirens converge, and every exit camera is still hunting Mark's stolen identity. Emily squeezes his wrist. We're not running, she says. We're flipping the board. Stay tuned. The next chapter unpacks Emily's undercover badge, and why the FBI considers Mark their newest asset or their biggest threat. Sirens warp in the distance as Mark and Emily burst from the maintenance tunnel into an underground parking deck that smells of wet concrete and burnt circuitry. Headlights flare. 2 black SUVs box them in, doors flying open with military snap. Agents fanning out in ballistic vests stenciled FBI. Emily raises both hands, voice steady but strained. Special Agent Emily Harris, Bureau CyberOps, badge hashtag J9462. A tall agent named Ramirez checks her credentials, then eyes Mark like unexploded ordnance. Mr. Harris, you are under protective custody, not arrest, Ramirez says, sliding restraints back into his belt. As floodlights pop on, Emily pulls Mark aside, whispering that Raven is a rogue contractor siphoning prototypes for foreign buyers and that Eric was their inside man. She swears the Gemini lens sabotage buys the Bureau 48 hours to smoke out the entire pipeline, and they need Mark's marketing login to trace dummy invoices hiding the money trail. Mark's head swims. Moments ago, he was a framed thief. Now he's an essential asset in an espionage sting. Before he can answer, an agent wheels out a hardened laptop and boots a live trace showing hundreds of shell companies spiraling from Harris and Co.'s vendor system. Every file labeled with his employee ID. Your account seeded their laundering tree 6 months ago, Ramirez says. Either you help us unwind it or a grand jury will. Emily grips Mark's forearm, nails digging through his damp sleeve. I'll clear you, she promises under her breath. I just couldn't tell you. Clearance walls. Ramirez barks, we move in 60, but Mark's gaze locks on one agent guarding the SUV. The same black tactical jacket from the rooftop, shoulder patch now hidden beneath a tactical strap. A gust lifts the strap, revealing the stitched are overcrossed keys. Mark's pulse spikes. He steps backward, tugging Emily's sleeve. Your team's compromised, he mutters, nodding toward the patch. Emily follows his line of sight, face blanching as the agent meets her eyes and smiles. A fraction too long. In that frozen second, the parking deck lights flicker, the same analog static that haunted the elevator footage. The rogue agent swings his rifle, but Emily shoves Mark behind a concrete pillar as muzzle flashes strobe the gloom. Real FBI dive for cover, returning fire, concrete powdering the air. Somewhere in the chaos, the hardened laptop beeps. An outbound data burst racing across stolen bandwidth. Gemini files launched into the ether. Emily slides next to Mark, blood trickling from a graze on her cheek. Option 1, stay and trust my badge, she pants. Option 2, run and trust no one. Sirens echo down every ramp as police converge. But the rogue agent is still out there. Their network upload bar ticking toward 100%. Mark meets Emily's eyes, searching for the woman he married beneath the operative she became. Choose, she urges, offering her hand as gunfire ricochets through the deck. Mark's decision now could save the tech, or doom them both to disappear under different names forever. Find out which hand he takes, and who really holds the power, in the explosive finale. Mark grips Emily's outstretched hand as bullets whine off concrete pillars. They sprint low between parked cars. Rogue agent in pursuit. Muzzle flash strobing the garage like lightning caught indoors. Behind them, the hardened laptop beeps twice. Upload complete. Before the screen fractures under stray gunfire, Emily skids behind a sedan, rips open its fuse panel, and hot wires the alarm into a deafening wail that masks their footsteps. Mark vaults a barrier, dragging her toward a service elevator plastered with under-maintenance tape that no one guards. Inside, Emily slams the panel with her badge. Hidden controls light up, offering an unmarked sublevel. As the doors slide shut, the rogue agent fires once more, shattering Emily's badge clip but missing flesh. The elevator plunges, darkness swallowing the cabin until emergency LEDs glow vampire red. Mark pants, adrenaline fogging thought, yet manages. Are we still on your plan? Or his? Emily types a 6-digit code into the panel. The cab jerks to a stop between floors. An intentional dead zone. Neither, she says, tearing open the control box to reveal a thumb drive identical to the one she gave Eric, but etched with a tiny silver phoenix. This is the real calibration module, she whispers. I kept it off every network. Raven can't sell what he can't decrypt. Mark stares, torn between awe and betrayal. If that's the only copy, he asks, what was on the drive you gave me? Her half-smile flickers. A breadcrumb trail incriminating Raven and clearing your name. Before Mark can respond, the elevator ceiling hatch crashes open and the rogue agent drops through. Boots first, Emily shoves Mark aside, intercepting with a baton swipe that knocks the rifle away but earns her a punch that splits her lip. Mark lunges, wrestling the agent as the cab groans under shifting weight. A single elbow to the jaw drops the attacker, and Emily zip-ties his wrists with a cord ripped from the panel. She frisks his vest, extracting a slim satellite phone. Its screen-scrolling coordinates marked exfil 02:15. Time reads 02:12. We're out of time, Emily mutters, typing a new command that forces the elevator to descend again. When the doors open, they reveal an unfinished subway spur littered with dust-coated tools and a lone maintenance cart. Emily hands Mark the silver-etched drive. Hide this, she says. I'll lead them the wrong way. Subway air roars as a train approaches the live tracks beyond a construction barrier. Without warning, Emily kisses Mark. Urgent, salty with blood. Then sprints toward the barrier, vaults, and vanishes into the tunnel darkness just as the train blurs past. FBI lights flood the elevator behind Mark. Agent Ramirez emerges, weapon raised. Where's Agent Harris? He demands, scanning the platform. Mark opens his palm, showing nothing but dust. Ramirez's radio squawks. Suspect on thermal, tunnel westbound. A surge of agents pursues, leaving Mark alone in cavernous silence. He reaches into his pocket, feeling the Phoenix drive. Still there, pulsing with secrets. Hours later, dawn washes his apartment in pale gray. The front door stands ajar, the living room empty except for one photograph placed on the floor. Their wedding day, edges singed, the words Trust in 01 scrawled across in Emily's handwriting. Mark's phone buzzes from an unknown number. He answers. Emily's voice is hushed, distant, echoing like a call routed through 10 countries. They think I ran, she says. Let them. Wind howls on her end, maybe from a moving train, maybe from nowhere. When the world asks, you never knew me, she continues. But remember this. In 30 days, the Phoenix rises. The line clicks dead, replaced by a single text message. GPS coordinates in the middle of Lake Michigan and a countdown clock already ticking. 29 days, 23:59:57. Mark stares at the numbers, heartbeat syncing with the digital pulse. Knowing the next move is his alone. Does he trust the promise of a woman who saved him by disappearing? Or let the Phoenix burn and finally walk away? Your turn, viewers. Would you sail into that countdown? Or delete the coordinates and start over? Drop your choice in the comments because Mark's fate might just follow the majority.